We live in a world that rewards action, speed, and constant motion. We are taught to always be doing something, moving forward, achieving more. But rarely are we encouraged to pause and ask why. Why are we doing what we are doing? Who are we becoming in the process? And is any of it truly aligned with who we are? This is where self-reflection becomes essential. It is not a luxury or something reserved for quiet weekends. It is the foundation of a conscious, fulfilling life. When you reflect, you create space. Space to think clearly. Space to understand your patterns. Space to redirect your energy where it actually matters. And the quality of that reflection depends on the quality of the questions you ask yourself. Asking the right questions can change your life. They help uncover blind spots, clarify your purpose, and steer you away from decisions rooted in fear, ego, or obligation. The 5 questions in this video are designed to do exactly that. They are not just things to think about. They are tools to live by. The first question is, what am I avoiding right now? Most people spend their lives dodging discomfort. We tell ourselves that certain things can wait, that we will deal with them later. But avoidance is not neutral. It quietly drains your energy. It creates anxiety that lingers in the background of your mind. And over time, it becomes a habit, one that defines how you live. Avoidance can take many forms. It could be putting off an important conversation. It could be ignoring financial issues, delaying a career change, or turning away from emotional wounds that still need healing. Sometimes, it is even avoiding our own potential because pursuing it feels risky and vulnerable. The problem is not just that we avoid these things. The problem is that we lie to ourselves about why. We say we are too busy, that the timing is not right, that we are just waiting for the perfect moment. But underneath all those excuses is usually fear. Fear of failure, rejection, change, or simply not being enough. Avoidance builds invisible walls in our lives, and those walls eventually become prisons. The more we avoid, the smaller our world becomes. But the moment you turn toward what you are avoiding, something powerful happens. You take back control. You stop running. You reclaim your energy and your power. So ask yourself, what am I avoiding right now? And more importantly, what would change in my life if I finally faced it? You do not have to solve it all at once, but awareness is the first step. And once you see it clearly, you can no longer pretend it is not there. The second question is, whose definition of success am I chasing? Many people spend their entire lives pursuing a version of success that was never theirs to begin with. They follow a path that was laid out for them by parents, teachers, culture, or social media. They check off the boxes, career, status, image, only to feel empty at the end of it. Because it was never about what they truly wanted. It was about meeting expectations, fitting in, proving something. Real success is not about applause or validation. It is about alignment. It is about living in a way that feels honest, meaningful, and deeply personal. If you are chasing a dream that does not reflect who you are, you will always feel like something is missing. No amount of achievement will fill that gap. The problem is that most people never stop to question where their idea of success came from. They inherit it. They absorb it passively. And they spend years trying to become someone they think they should be, instead of becoming who they already are. So take a moment and ask, whose definition of success am I chasing? Is it really mine? Or am I trying to live up to someone else's vision of what a good life looks like? And if I stripped away all the noise, all the pressure, all the comparison, what would success actually mean to me? Would it mean freedom? Would it mean peace of mind? Would it mean creating something meaningful, even if it never goes viral? Would it mean being present with the people I love? Or finally prioritizing my health, my art, my truth? You get to define what success looks like. And the moment you do, you stop competing with everyone else. You stop feeling behind. You stop measuring your worth by external standards. You start living your life on your own terms. These first two questions are not easy. They demand honesty. They might surface discomfort. But that discomfort is necessary because it shows you where the work is, where the growth is, and where your real power begins. The third question is, what would I do differently if I truly believed I was enough? So much of what we do is driven by the silent, unspoken belief that we are not. Not smart enough, not talented enough, not attractive enough, not worthy enough. And this belief infiltrates every part of our lives. How we speak, what we pursue, who we choose to love, and how we allow others to treat us. When you believe you are not enough, you chase things that promise to fill that void. You overwork to prove your value. You stay silent to keep the peace. You shrink yourself to avoid rejection. You say yes when you want to say no. You build a life on the shaky foundation of performance and approval. But ask yourself, what if you already were enough? Not in some hypothetical future, not after you accomplish more, not when you finally fix yourself. What if you were enough exactly as you are, right now? If you believed that, what would you stop doing? What would you start doing? Who would you walk away from? What would you create? Where would you go? How differently would you carry yourself through the world? Believing you are enough does not mean you stop growing or evolving. It means that your growth no longer comes from a place of lack. It comes from self-respect, not self-rejection, from inspiration, not insecurity. Most people never even question the belief that they are inadequate. It is so deeply embedded that it feels like truth. But it is not. It is just a story. And the moment you become aware of that story, you gain the power to change it. You cannot fully show up in your life until you believe you are worthy of the space you take up. So ask yourself, what would change if I stopped trying to prove my worth and started living like I already had it? The fourth question is, am I living in alignment with my values? We talk a lot about goals, but not enough about values. Goals are what you want. Values are how you want to live. And without clear values, your goals become empty. You might achieve everything you thought you wanted and still feel disconnected. Because the how matters just as much as the what. Living in alignment with your values means that your actions match your beliefs. It means that you are not just saying what matters to you. You are showing it. You are embodying it. You are choosing it, even when it is inconvenient or uncomfortable. But many people never define their values. They think they know what they stand for. But when you look at their life, there is a disconnect. They say they value health, but neglect their body. They say they value honesty, but avoid the truth. They say they value peace, but keep chasing chaos. So ask yourself, what are my true values? Not the ones I was taught to have. Not the ones that look good on a resume or sound impressive. The real ones. The ones that guide who I want to be when no one is watching. Then ask, does my life reflect those values? Do my choices, my habits, my relationships, my work, all reflect what I claim to care about? Or is there a gap between what I believe and how I behave? Closing that gap is where transformation happens. It requires courage, because sometimes it means making hard decisions, letting go of what no longer fits, rebuilding parts of your identity, saying no more often, walking away from what is easy but misaligned. But the reward is a kind of internal peace that nothing external can give you. When you live in alignment, you stop feeling fragmented. You stop betraying yourself to please others. You stop second-guessing every move, because you know your compass is true. You will never feel truly fulfilled if you are living out of sync with your values. Even if everything looks good on the outside, the fulfillment comes from integrity, from congruence, from knowing that your life is a reflection of who you are, not who you are trying to be. These next two questions, like the first, are invitations. Invitations to dig deeper, to look at your life not just as something to survive or succeed at, but as something to design with intention and courage. The fifth and final question is perhaps the most sobering and the most freeing. What kind of life am I building, intentionally or by default? Let that sink in for a moment. Every single day, with every choice you make, what time you wake up, how you speak to yourself, the relationships you nurture or neglect, the thoughts you entertain, you are either consciously shaping your life or allowing it to shape itself. And most people are not building their lives. They are reacting to them. They wake up and check their phones before they check in with themselves. They go to jobs they dislike, not because they want to, but because it is what they have always done. They stay in relationships that drain them, not because they are thriving, but because they fear starting over. Days turn into months, and months turn into years. Before they realize it, they have built a life brick by brick, but with no blueprint, no vision, no intention. That is what living by default looks like. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Doing nothing is still doing something. Indecision is still a decision. Not choosing is still a choice. And if you do not choose the direction of your life, someone else will. Society, social media, your past, or your fear. Living by default often starts subtly. You say yes when you want to say no. You ignore the voice inside because it whispers, and the world shouts. You prioritize being liked over being authentic. You settle for what is available instead of pursuing what is meaningful. And soon, your life feels like a reflection of expectations, not intentions. But it does not have to stay that way. Living intentionally is not about having every detail figured out. It is not about control or perfection. It is about clarity, about waking up each day with the awareness that your time, your energy, and your attention are sacred resources, that you are the architect of your experience, not a passive occupant of it. So ask yourself honestly, is the life I am living one I consciously created? Or is it the result of momentum, habit, and fear? Take a moment to look at the different areas of your life, your work, your relationships, your health, your environment. Are they reflections of your deepest values, or just the easiest, most familiar options? Are you where you are because it feels right, or because it is where you ended up? And here is something many people never realize. You do not have to throw everything away to begin again. You do not need to burn it all down. You just need to wake up, to choose one thing, just one, that you will no longer do on autopilot. One decision you will make with clarity, instead of convenience. That is how the shift begins. Intentional living is not loud, it is quiet. It happens in the small moments, when you decide to pause before reacting, when you create instead of consume, when you say no without guilt, when you choose rest without shame. It is saying, I am no longer available for things that drain my spirit. It is saying, I am no longer willing to betray myself to fit in. It is saying, I may not know exactly where I am going, but I am no longer going there. It is not always glamorous. It may not impress everyone, but it will feel honest. And that honesty is where peace begins. Now you might be thinking, this sounds powerful, but where do I even start? Start with awareness. Start by creating space in your day to be still, to notice what feels right and what feels wrong, to listen to what your body is trying to tell you when you're drained, anxious, or restless, to notice when you are living out of alignment, and have the courage to name it. Start by defining what matters most to you, not what looks good, not what is popular, but what resonates with your soul. Is it creativity, freedom, connection, growth, simplicity? Whatever it is, name it. Then begin filtering your decisions through those values. When faced with a choice, ask, does this move me closer to the life I want, or further away from it? Is this decision a reflection of the person I am becoming, or the person I am trying to stop being? Those questions will guide you like a compass. Not perfectly, not without missteps, but consistently if you are honest. And do not underestimate the power of small, repeated choices. Intention compounds over time. Saying no to one distraction today might free you to pursue your calling tomorrow. Prioritizing rest today might give you clarity for a breakthrough next week. Choosing integrity in one conversation might ripple into a new standard for how you show up in every relationship. That is how intentional lives are built. Not in one sweeping moment of change, but in 1,000 small acts of alignment. So if you take nothing else from this video, take this. Your life is a blank canvas, whether you realize it or not. Every day you are painting something. The only question is, are you the one holding the brush? If not, take it back. Reclaim your attention. Reclaim your voice. Reclaim your direction. Not with perfection, but with presence. Not with pressure, but with purpose. The 5 questions we have explored are not meant to be answered once and forgotten. They are mirrors. Mirrors you return to again and again as you grow and evolve. Ask them when you feel stuck. Ask them when you feel lost. Ask them when everything is working, but something still feels missing. Because the life you're seeking, the clarity, the meaning, the peace, it does not come from doing more. It comes from remembering who you are and building from there. Start today. Ask better questions. Live better answers. And above all, trust that your most authentic life is not found. It is built. One question at a time.